I wish that you continue to echo the voices of the people. Big up VOP TV.
My name is Suibifa Dokubo. Please keep watching VOP TV.
Hi, my name is Kwekumali Ikena Onyekwena, and I am with the Voice of the People TV. Now, if you're looking for the veritable channel for information, politics, robust discussions, you don't need to go far. VOP has you. VOP will always have you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Patrick Diabwa, aka Ibani Chuka, Amayanabo the Eagle King, and you are watching VOP TV. Stay with us.
In a world where power shifts with every headlines, news breaks and events happens, we bring you unbiased and explicit information on politics, economy and state of the nation. We break down the chaos. Facts, not fluff. Truth, not spin. We discuss not just politics, but a glimpse into the future. Voice of the People Television. Now you have more than a voice.
A very good evening to you, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Issues on Voice of the People Television, where we bring you the most important and pressing issues shaping our nation today. I am your host, Nenna Ndomdioto. Today on the Issues, we're examining the complexities of Nigeria's politics and governance, from federal government signing new agreement with ASU, to Sokoto leaders raising alarm over threats by a notorious bandit leader. Also, Dangote Refinery discloses the Nigeria moves from fuel scarcity to abundance. And finally, World Bank projects fastest economic growth for Nigeria in 2026. Join us as we break down the fact and provide context to help you stay informed. We'll take a short break, and when we return, we'll dig deeper into these topics. Don't go away. Glad to have you back. Let's dive straight into today's discussion. The federal government has signed and unveiled a fresh agreement with the Academic Staff Union of Investors, ASU. The agreement, signed after prolonged negotiations, outlines new commitments by the federal government on funding, staff welfare, and university governance reforms. Some key components of the newly signed agreement, which includes the emolument of university academic staff, which has been reviewed upwards by 40% to enhance the morale, improve the quality of service delivery, and global competitiveness of Nigeria tertiary education institution, and also to reverse brain drain. Also, the salary structure will comprise the CONRISE, Consolidated Research and Allied Institutions salary structure, and the Consolidated Academic Tools allowance. However, ASU insists that beyond agreement on paper, deeper structural challenges remain unresolved. According to the union, persistent mismanagement, weak governance frameworks, and inadequate oversight continue to undermine the effectiveness of Nigerian universities despite increased allocations and policy reforms. ASU leaders warn that unless systemic accountability issues are addressed, funding interventions alone may not deliver the desired transformation across public institutions. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by two distinguished guests. Here in the studio, we have Dr. Peter Anosike. Dr. Anosike is a philosopher, development economist, and best-selling author. He's also an erudite commentator on economy, finance, politics, and power. He's also the author of the most talked about book titled Abuse of Power, how democracy turned into tyranny of the few. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You know, I'm laughing because of, like, after what we talked about, and I'm still thinking about what you said. So Dr. Nosike said that tiredness is from the mind. So that's one of his philosophies.
No, tiredness is from the mind.
It's from the mind. So as I was introducing you,
The mind controls the body.
the mind controls the body.
Yes, when the mind is tired, the body will be tired.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Well, that's from Dr. Anosike. Okay, joining us virtually, we have Lekia Christian. He is a public affairs analyst, social justice crusader, and the president, Niger Delta Coalition Against Violence. He will get to join us during the show. Let me start with you, Dr. Anosike. This new agreement that we have, the federal government has with ASU, what is new in this agreement compared to what they have had in the past?
I saw them there shining teeth like a politician, understand? But they don't know that it is still the same set of people that they are dealing with. People that you must not trust. What the federal government is doing is just creating distractions. Because the 2009 agreement that they had with the then federal government have not been implemented. So what made you think that the 2026 agreement will be implemented? So it is a delay tactics that they are using. Okay. They have reviewed the standards, everything upwards. They should, if they are thinking that these are supposed to be intellectuals. That's the budget of 2026 on education was brought down. Understand? Was brought down. So where would the money come from? Is it from Tinubu's pocket or from the Minister of Education pocket? So this is what you should have put into consideration to know whether they are using you or you are using them. So for me, government is using them. Government is taking advantage of their desperation. That's that because the easiest way to take advantage of somebody is when you realize that that person is desperate. So whatever promise you make, he will agree without even reading the content. So hearing that their emoluments have been increased by over 40%, where is the money? That's what I mean. Because what was budgeted for education in 2026 is lower than what was budgeted in 2025. So this will have shown them that this government is playing with their senses.
Okay, so if I can hear you correctly, you're saying that this agreement looks dead on arrival already because of the budgets, the fact that even the budgets, even the allocation for education is actually very slower than usual. Okay, but I want to ask you, I think you can still speak more about that. So why do federal government and ASU agreement, oftentimes it looks strong on paper, but usually weak in implementation?
That is deception. That is deception. And this thing can work in two ways. When you have compromised, understand me? When you have compromised, and you compromise by taking a sitting allowances, understand me? That's how government compromise professional organization. I said, we are budgeting 200 million for sitting allowances. So you are going to the sitting allowance that to make money, not even for the main purpose of the meeting sitting. So every time that you come there, money is shared. That's that. Every time you come there, money is shared. Whatever agreement that they draw for you, you must sign it. because you have already compromised. Now, understand? You have already compromised. Then another one is desperation. That's that. When you are too eager to see things done, you will not have that the patient that to go through the agreement to check if everything is properly captured. You will sign. At the end of the day, when you come in, that's out of the hall and the ephora wears off, you now see that you signed a bad deal.
Okay, we have our virtual guest join us. Let's hear his take on it. Glad to have you join us, Lekia Christian.
To be with you once more.
Yeah, good evening. Okay, so we're talking about the ASU and the federal government new agreement that has just been signed. And I want to ask you, for you, what do you make about this new agreement? And how do you think it's something that, is it feasible? How feasible is it that this agreement would actually work?
One thing when it comes to agreement is to respect the position of the parties. From what the ASU president has said, he said he believes that this is going to be a different one from all previous agreements. You know, this 2025 renegotiated agreement is different from what was obtainable in 2009, and believes strongly that the federal government would not wait for ASU to embark on another strike for them to get things done. So the Minister of Education, too, equally has shown a commitment that they will do the needful and that it's going to be different, and that educational calendar would no longer be, obstructed by strikes as we normally experience in this country. So I just pray that all the parties haven't given some sort of a nod and approval to the new renegotiated agreement, will work assiduously to ensure that the state of university education in Nigeria gets the much needed approval, so that when it comes to the Committee of Nations, educational standards, and particularly the quality of education in Nigeria, will be able to meet up global standards. Because when you have degrees that are not respected across board, I don't think we truly have anything to boost up. So generally, I believe that they must have, in the course of their negotiation, capture those key areas that will guarantee the survival of the education, of tertiary education in Nigeria.
Okay, would you actually say that the problem that we have in our education system, would you say it's really funding or poor governance and accountability within the university system?
A discussion. You heard about management of universities. ASU talked about particularly new federal universities being established, that the standard, the criteria for the appointment of professors in those universities are normally being compromised. They also talked about funding and development within the university sector. And if these issues are being given the much needed attention, and there is commitment on the part of the federal government to address these issues, I think we'll be getting out of the dead woods of hopelessness. I think there will be a ray of hope, in sight. So all I think is commitment and not to pay flowery lip services to issues begging for serious attention within the tertiary sector of our national educational life.
Okay, I actually asked you a question. I guess you didn't hear. Probably there was a network disconnection at that point. But I said that, do you think the problem we have in our university system, would you say, is it really funding or poor governance and accountability within the system?
Well, it's multiple factors. It's not is both funding, because without proper motivation, without, particularly when it comes to research, how will you be able to carry out effective research, and meet up the standards set by other universities across the world? So funding is critical, and I also believe that governance is another issue, because if you look at one of the issues raised by the ASU president, he talked about the prolonged tenure of acting vice chancellors. When you have an acting vice chancellor in schools and they want to stay who is there temporarily, and he want to please those who are to appoint him, the federal government, not doing the bidding of the academic community. So that tendency is there because there's no assurance he could be dropped at any time. So governance is key. And they talked about independence of the educational university autonomy. You see, they harped on that too. So they are not sure that in practice, in practice, that you really have autonomy when you have governing councils of university easily dissolved and incessant appointment and removal of vice chancellors and putting in their places acting vice chancellors whose tenure sometimes have been overstretched. So all of this disrupts the normal working of the university system. So I think they all constitute part of the problem.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me come to our guest in the studio. Dr. Peter, would you want to speak to this this issue? Do you think that, is it just about funding, or would you say that poor governance and accountability within the system actually causes what we have, causes what wasn't need, the malfunction? I don't want to use malfunction, but it
is malfunction. It is malfunction.
The malfunction and anomaly we have in our university system.
Last Thursday, I was at Akoka. I visited Unilag and Yaba Tech. Understand? So there, I saw a lot of things. I saw that a lot of things going wrong in the universities. Understand? So I was even discussing with a member of the SUG. Understand? I was saying, so NANS are now endorsing candidates, that political candidates. Understand? It say that our own time and theirs is a difference. Understand? Imagine NANS endorsing governorship candidates, because in my own days, that's when student union have voice, and because then you are only enemy. Let me use that word. Enemy is government. Understand me? So, and as your only enemy, every student focuses on government to monitor whether it is doing wrong or it is doing right. Now, when you see some NANS, some belonging to APC, some to the opposition, there can never be a single voice. So the main problem facing the high institutions in the country, one, funding is one, understand? Then corruption is another. I saw corruption working on 4 legs in these schools. I spent time there. I saw corruption. Everything has been monetized. Nothing is free. Understand? So without funding, understand, nothing can be done. And why Nigerian schools are not being recognized abroad is because, one, when there's no fund, there cannot be quantitative research. Understand? And this is what builds institutions. Understand? That solid research is going on in those schools. So for us, it is funding one. Now, government appointing vice chancellors is also corruption because it is not their business. Understand? They should be in a world of their own. Understand? That's why they are talking about autonomy. But you cannot have autonomy when you don't have your own finance, because they say who pays or the piper must dictate or the tune. So these are affecting universities. These are affecting university funding, human error. That's understand me. Then our schools not being able to meet up with latest technological developments across the world too.
Okay, how much responsibility lies with university councils and, of course, vice chancellors rather than the federal government?
When Morris who used to be used, because we've not spoken for more than 2 years now, so I can say used to be my good friend. So when they begin to appoint vice chancellors, lecturers as INEC people, I told, excuse me, sir, this is wrong. You are exposing these people to money, and it is not going to go well because it's a very big distraction. Morrissey, who was also an intellectual, understand, say no, that it is not going to that they are very strict and principled people. But now professors are rigging elections. Understand? So professors are rigging elections, and students are following suit by endorsing candidates. So everybody in Nigeria has become a politician in one way or another. So there should be a mind shift before we can get it right in our academic institution. Because you can now see lecturers going out in the night seeking to be put among regs, understand me, and returning officers and commission officers and so on and so forth. Understand? So, and this is where this compromise starts.
Okay, let's have Lekia chime in on this. How much responsibility lies with university councils and vice chancellors rather than the federal government before we move to our next conversation?
Honestly, the whole idea behind the concept of university autonomy was for them to take charge of their affairs, strengthen the structures of their institutions. If you have the governing council and you have the vice chancellor, who is the chief administrative officer of the institution, there should be an internal mechanism for appointment, because when the appointing officer is the same man who has been a problem in the smooth running of the University of Administration, then there's the problem. But once you don't do the bidding, there's bound to be conflict, and your appointment could be terminated. So even where they have abilities to do certain things, because of the privileges that come with their offices, you see them making compromises here and there. So for me, I want to endorse very strongly the idea of university autonomy, and I also want to support the system where the working between the university council, the governing council, respective governing councils, as well as the office of the vice chancellor, should be very cordial administratively, and they should understand that the goals, and when that is done, that, and if that is done smoothly without unnecessary interference, it's where there is appointment and termination, often it disrupts the smooth running of the system and the loyalty of both members of the governing council, who are equally appointees of the federal government for federal universities, as well as the vice chancellor, will not allow that autonomy. So they want to please their masters, their source of appointment, the one who appointed them, rather than think more on how well the institution can be strengthened and encouraged. Look at what my brother said right there in the studio, that they are veering away now. Those days when the National Association of Nigerian Students used to be very confrontational to government, particularly when their policies are anti-students and anti-public good. You used to see their position and you respect. Right now, everybody is skewed towards pleasing one section of one section of the political class or the other. All of these creating problem and causing very serious distraction within the within the educational system. So the university community needs to get that independence, and until we get a system where the appointment of both members of the governing council and that of the vice chancellor will be stripped up from the government, and only then can we be sure that we're getting close to the solution point where their autonomy can be guaranteed, and that their funding should be purely their business. There are other climes where you find university carrying out research that are problem solving and affecting the society, the larger society, and they also generate a whole lot of income, on their own without unnecessary interferences. So I think we should be shifting more towards that direction than what we have currently.
Okay.
Over dependence on government is not very healthy for the smooth administration and running of the university system.
Okay, very well said. Thank you. Let's move on to our next conversation tonight. Stakeholders from the troubled Eastern Senatorial District of Sokoto State have raised alarm over fresh threats of attacks allegedly issued by notorious bandit leader Bello Turji. Community leaders say intelligence reports and public threats linked to Bello have heightened fear across several local government areas. Speaking on the matter, Basha Guyawa Isar said some of the affected members of the community were now taking refuge in some communities in the Niger Republic. The leaders are calling on the federal government and security agencies to urgently reinforce security presence and prevent possible large-scale attacks on vulnerable communities. The leaders warned that continued inaction could worsen displacement, disrupt farming activities, and deepen humanitarian challenges in the region. Let me come to you first, Dr. Anosike. How did we get to this point where we now have non-state actors like Bello Turji gain enough confidence to openly threaten communities, and we now see the leaders crying out and even the members of the community having to flee from their villages?
Well, it's because they have lost confidence that's in the security of the country. Understand? They now feel that the security that's of the country has failed them. Understand? Because if they still have confidence in the security, what they should have done is to appeal to government to come and protect them. Understand? But now, they feel the government cannot protect. That's why they are now running to another country, understand, for protection. And the reason is because government has indirectly elevated these people that you call the non-state actors to state actors. Understand? Government has indirectly elevated them from non-state actors to state actors. When you begin to negotiate with them, understand? When you begin to take selfie with them, what else? Understand? So it shows that you have recognized them, understand? Because you can only negotiate with somebody who you feel is a force. Understand me? It's a force. So when they begin to negotiate with these bandits and terrorists, when they begin to yield to the demands of the terrorists, like what happened in Castina, where 70 bandits were released for, where Nigeria government and the bandits have to do swap, exchange of prisoners. Understand? You have elevated them to also state actors, and it is what you sow that you reap. That's exactly what is happening in Sokoto, in Castina, in Zamfara State, because they have recognized them.
Okay, and let me come to you, Lekia. What do you think? What does this say about the effectiveness of Nigeria's current counter banditry strategy? We've seen the president come out to say that these bands are now terrorists, but we still see that they are really I don't want to use the word making waves in the northern and northeastern part and northwestern part, even the the middle belt, north central, and all of that. But what does it say about the effectiveness of our current strategy in fighting this banditry?
Nigeria clearly is a victim of a multifaceted conspiracy, and that have crippled public trust in the government, particularly when it comes to fighting insecurity. And that's the whole reason why it's been festering all along. The festering insecurity in Nigeria is caused by this failure of people trusting in the government. And to be very, very candid, no government is truly a government until you understand your responsibility and the debt you owe your people. That one of the key responsibility of government is to protect lives and property. When the lives of Nigerians anywhere in Nigeria can no longer be guaranteed by the government, it is an indictment. And I believe that's what why the government is beginning to work even with foreign countries to see how most of these things can be addressed. But we shouldn't wait until when we have partnership like the United States with countries like the US to strike, before we will sit up to live up to our bidding. Public confidence in our security architecture is fast eroding. But I'm so happy that it's not something that just started today. That's why I said that the Nigerian state has been all along a victim of a multifaceted conspiracy. And in the northeast, and northwest, where most of these things are happening, like my brother said, celebrating symbols of violence gives them undue recognition. They should be on the run. Our security intelligence should be deployed in a manner that these people will not find rest, but rather than get them on the run and being under the pressure of government forces. You see negotiations by high-ranking public officers. You see them taking pictures. You see them negotiating. You see members of House of Assembly going to visit them. You see the people, clerics, having dialogues with them and giving them representation. Why will the likes of Gumi be talking and mediating between bandits and the government? The number of lives that have been lost, the blood that is still crying for justice, and all the havoc that have been wreaked in this country as a result of banditry and insecurity are things that should give concern to the government. It happened sometime, and even the state governors have been linked with all of that. What stops the Nigerian state from investigating, even where a governor has immunity? We saw what happened what happened to Alamesia here and the South. Why can't the same pressure from the federal government be mounted on governors that compromise state security and the North? If that could be done on account of corruption, insecurity is something much more serious, because Even our territorial boundaries are being threatened. We are not sure we are still in control of most of those areas because you cannot have insecurity dominating in a particular area where the members of the community will be more afraid of these non-state actors than the government forces. So once they shift an allegiance to these monsters, it simply means that, one, we have lost it all to the monster, and there is no government, technically speaking, in those areas. But I believe that the efforts being put together today, because it's not like going to a shop to buy your security. Effort being put today in place will work, and security issues are not things that you diagnose in depth because you are not part of those who are handling it until they let you know. If the America had talked so much before they strike in Sokoto, I'm sure that they may not have succeeded as much as we did. And again, threat coming from Bello Toji, the same man who severally had been labeled as being killed, or dead. How come he has even cats with 9 lives, cannot be as strong and powerful as Bello Toji? So it's a challenge before the government, particularly our security institutions, particularly the Minister of Defense, my good brother in whom I am always well pleased. I believe that they should step up their game and do that. And again, I must say this, because the military circles, security circles, they work more with order. Once the federal government gives them a clear-cut order, not the kind of one that military officers or security agencies will take private initiative, the discretionary powers, or apply number 6, they call common sense, in military operations. And by the time they do that, the high command will bring them to book, and they begin to answer to questions, and some of them got the rank. We've seen situations like that in this country. So for men who are fighting, who have seen the way other soldiers have been treated, they need motivation, and it must come from the military high command. And for that to happen, the federal government must be transparent, must be very open in giving the military and those fighting terrorism, banditry, and all the vices in the north a clear-cut order to match up. Where I hear the Minister of Defense said they've been given all of that. Let's see in the coming days what happened with all those presidential directives and how that will help in bringing these issues to the barest minimum, because it's been very pathetic for Nigerians, even those abroad. You can't be very proud of your country that this thing is happening, and it's an indictment, serious indictment on the government who has failed to protect the lives of their people.
Okay, let me come back to Dr. Anosike. Dr. Anosike, with what we have at hand or on ground, would you say the bigger problem is intelligence failure or military capacity?
One, there's compromise, there's sympathy, there is politics, there's corruption, there's everything in what is happening now. Understand? So, and that's why, in short, it is a hydra-headed problem, which I know cannot even be solved unless we have a mind shift. Understand me? So, I don't know who the greatest soldier in the world is. Even if you bring him to Nigeria with all these things that I have mentioned, there's nothing much that the person can do. Understand? There's nothing much that the person can do. Nigeria government are wonderful at issuing statements, giving press releases, but when it comes to action, you begin to see the opposite. Understand? We've been hearing much not that. At the end of the day, nothing is happening. if I hire a staff to do something for me, I've given you the marching order. Any other order from me is sack. Another order from me is sack, because once you are hired, understand, the next thing is fire. But because of the sentiment, because of the corruption, which I know that a lot of people are benefiting from the insecurity, and they will not want it to stop. Okay. What is his name? Christopher Musa has been in office for about 3 months now or more. When he was being sworn in, he told us that he's going to set up an investigation to find out why those soldiers are at KB, as KB moved before those 25 kids were kidnapped. Up to today, we've not heard anything about it. So all they do is just say all the good things, go to the books, Google all the wonderful phrases, wonderful quotations. At the end of the day, we'll still go back to where we are coming from.
Okay, let's move on to the next conversation we have tonight. Dangote Petroleum Refinery PLC has assured of an end to premium motor spirit or petrol scarcity, saying that the country has entered a new phase of abundance. The newly appointed managing director of the refinery, David Bird, disclosed this following the seamless supplies by the facility during the last Christmas and New Year celebrations. Bird described the development as a significant achievement, stating that Nigeria is now consuming world-quality fuel. He criticized the historical dumping of inferior fuel products in West Africa and said Dangote Refinery's output represents a major public health improvement, not just in volume, but in quality, with lower sulfur and cleaner fuels. Dr. Anosike, what do you make of the statement? Are we on our way to getting to fuel abundance, like the Dangote MD is saying?
Excuse me. When we talk of availability, there must be affordability.
Okay.
Understand me? Availability must go with affordability. Understand? Fuel is everywhere. How much are you selling it? Mm-hmm. Understand me? So if there's abundance everywhere, how much is it going for? So he has said wonderful things, because importation of fuel is still going on as we speak. So he wants to kind of push the other people out of the market, or for Nigerians to be patronizing them more. But for me, that's why I have never supported the monopoly. I am a student of competition. Let Dangote be there. Let other refiners come on board. Let importation of fuel continue. Let price be the determinant. Whoever is selling cheaper and is good, let Nigeria patronize that one. Understand me? I'm not telling them that we are now in an era of abundance while it is unaffordable.
Okay, so you're saying let importation continue.
And let new refineries come on.
Okay, we're talking about importation, but it's been said that most of these fuel that have been imported are not of good quality.
Who is saying that?
That's what is been said.
That's to kick your competitors out of
the market.
And who is testing it? There was a time that they imported fuel that we are knocking every car engine in this country. We know the two companies that we are responsible, and they are still operating today fully. So let Dangote continue, let fuel importation continue. let the other refiners come on board. Let price be the sole determinant of where anybody buys. Understand? And not telling us that we are now in the era of abundance, why transport cost has not come down anywhere. From Lagos to the east, people pay the 80,000. Understand me? So let everybody be in this business, and let price be the determinant of where anybody buys.
I was going to say something about that price, the price thing you mentioned. Before I go to our virtual guest, you made mention of this price, but I don't think it's about fuel, because I feel like it's more about the fact that it's the season, and then Nigerians would always want to exploit, because just fuel. I have somebody who traveled just in November, and the fuel, the price to the east was around 25 to 30,000 naira.
In November?
Yes.
No.
That is what it was.
No,
for ninth bus. And then just in December, during the festive season, it was getting to like 60, 70. And meanwhile, Dangote also, around this period, there was a reduction of fuel price as well in some filling stations. So I don't even think that is more about fuel price. It's more about Nigerians being trying to exploit Nigerians during the festive season.
Yes, if the price of fuel becomes affordable, understand? Not just transport owners, people using doing little businesses in around or their shops. A barber can easily afford fuel to put out his gain to barber somebody's hair. So it's not just about
the transporters. No, I actually made mention of that because of the transport example you gave, and I'm like, I don't really think that's more. It might be a contributory factor, but I think it's more about the season.
They will always give you
the fuel reason.
That's the fuel.
Okay, let's get to hear from Lekia. What do you think about this fuel abundance? According to Dangote Refinery, that we are now getting to the era of fuel abundance, and Otanosike is saying that if there are no lower prices, how would you tell me that there's fuel abundance? So can you just speak to that before we move on?
A beautiful narrative from Dangote's MD. But if you know this country very well and how far Dangote has thrived, he has always thrived under an atmosphere of monopoly. When he came into the cement sector, what happened? Every other person needs to go underground for him to be everywhere. And even when it comes to pastas, foreign Indomies coming in, there's this propaganda that tells you so many things. The regulatory people were not coming up to tell you this is what was wrong with this or that. But after a while, we saw that all of that went down. Now he has come into the petroleum sector, as important as this sector, because so much life depends on it. Artisans and even the public institutions will depend on fuel, the PMS, to drive their agenda to continue to thrive. So he has always thrived under monopoly. Like my brother in the studio said, Anosike, when you claim you have something in abundance and you can't afford that thing, of what value is that stuff? And the other thing you also watch out for is the criticism that in times past, poor quality PMS are being imported into the country. They are telling you now that, look, that you should look away from those who are importing and look in their direction. Where there is competition, everybody will follow the person that brings the price down. So if they drop their prices to the barest minimum, you don't. What was the value of price of fuel in the time past? And what is the value of fuel? And what's the capital income of the average Nigerian? So things are still very rough with Nigerians with low capital income, per capita income, and high demands. The needs. Look what's the cost of education in this country, and talk about the average family with all the attendant needs that parents have to cater for. I was looking at this one child rights stuff the other day, and I saw a clause where they said, for any parent or whosoever that is in a position to provide XYZ, not to have provided, that is a criminal offense and a treasonable felony. When you look at that, you are also putting you will now begin to appreciate what parents and what people who have responsible people have to handle. So it's the system should work in a manner that fuel PMS should be affordable by everybody.
Okay.
If it's not affordable, then there is no abundance.
Okay. If it's not affordable, there's no abundance. That is what my two guests are saying. Dr. Anosike said that earlier, and now you're reiterating that. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being a part of the show. Thank you, Dr. Anosike, for being with us. Yes, sir. And thank you, Lekia Christian, for being with us today, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's all we have for today's episode of The Issues. We explored the challenges facing Nigeria and, of course, its governance. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to tune in next time for more in-depth analysis and discussion. Follow us on social media to stay up to date on the latest news and insight. Until next time, stay informed. I am Nnenna Ndomdioto, and this has been The Issues on Voice of the People Television, where the future faces forward. Please don't forget to stay tuned for Hashtag with Vivian and Ikechukwu by 8 p.m. Thank you.
In a world where power shifts with every headline.
In a nation full of questions.
In a world filled with noise, the truth needs a voice.
The policies that shapes our world and the economy that determines our future.
Every hour, every day, the grapevine keeps buzzing. And together, we are committed to telling the stories that shape our world, because your voice is our focus.
Don't forget, our voice matters the most. Let us come together and share our concerns.
Join us as we drive into the world of politics through insightful interviews with prominent political figures, both serving and former governors, ministers, senators, legislators, party chieftains, activists, and analysts. Get first-hand information into the decision-making processes that affect our daily lives. Highly engaging one-hour program that brings political discourse into focus.
I am Chukwuma Okoro.
Political Lens, Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. Join us. In a world where truth is the ultimate power and opinions scream the loudest, it's time to wade through the noise.
Hunger no get drum! Hunger